Welcome everybody to our Easter chapel service. It's a virtual service for you, but I really hope you're going to enjoy it. This short time of reflection as you gather in your classrooms. The chapel here is empty, but hopefully it won't be long before we're all back in here and when the restrictions are gone, we'll be able to sing and enjoy this glorious chapel. It was a very moving moment in here last week when we had a vigil for Sarah Everard, and so many of you came in and held silence in here and lit candles, and it just struck me again how much this place is a central part of our life, and we've really missed it. The paintings behind me depict the two moods of Easter. This painting here is Good Friday, and this painting here is Easter Day, and I can say a little bit about both of them in a moment in the short time we've got. The paintings mean a lot to me. My wife painted them, and the originals are much bigger than these, and these are pretty big. But they're in Blackburn Cathedral in the north of England, and they'll be used in the Easter services in that cathedral over Easter in a few weeks' time. The two moods of Easter. This cross here hangs in the vestibule of chapels. You come in, you may spot it from time to time. And it's the Good Friday cross, and there's a person, Jesus, on it, and it's a picture of great suffering. And we have been so conscious in our national life, and indeed this week we had a moment when we were able to light candles as a vigil on Tuesday evening, and a national silence as we remember those people that have died in this terrible pandemic that has swept across the world and has claimed 126,000 lives in our country. You may or may not have had a moment to reflect on the day. It was a busy day. And you may or may not have had a chance to light a candle on that evening. But I thought we could do that now. I'm just going to light a candle here in front of this painting. And as we do so, it gives us all a chance just to reflect on all those who have suffered. And indeed in our school as well, there are those who have suffered great bereavement during this last year. So let's now go into a time of quiet, at the end of which the choir are going to sing a beautiful anthem, Sicut, cervus by Palestrina. Thanks to our choir for leading us, as they always do, in such beautiful meditative music. Thank you once again, choir, for helping us to reflect. We so miss your presence in our school life, and it's just good to hear you again. Well, let's move on to the more hopeful side of Easter, which is Easter Day itself, Easter Sunday, the day when Christians remember the resurrection of Jesus. And of course that's depicted here in this painting and in this cross, which you may have seen up on the altar. Again, it's an empty cross. It's very different from the other cross. This is the Easter Day cross. And it symbolises the hope that, the Christian hope, indeed of many faiths, that this life is not the end of the story, but there's a possibility of life after death. And of course that offers those who have suffered such great loss, great hope in times of bereavement. But Easter is not just about thinking of what might happen after this life, it's also about hope in the present. And that's why the early church put Easter in this time of year, of spring, of new life. Well, here's an egg to symbolise that. I think Murray were having an Easter egg hunt around the school this week. And many of you will be getting Easter eggs on Easter Day, a symbol of new life and hope. And that's the joyful side of Easter. And what does that really mean in real time? Well, it means that out of suffering can come hope. And out of our national life, as we've gone through so much, maybe we've had a chance to reflect on what's really important. The George Floyd death sparks a real awareness of how we need to bring racial equality into our society. The Sarah Everard death brought signs of real anger and also hope how we can change society. There's greater social justice and equality for all. But also in our personal lives, we've missed so much being together in our school, how much we've missed our education. And maybe we're coming back to that with new hope, with new energy, with new realisation of how much school and education matters. And we will have missed seeing our families and friends. We've missed that, and maybe out of that is the hope we're going to have more of a focus on the things that matter and spending time with our loved ones. So Easter is a time, yes, of sombre moods, but also of joyful hope.
Angels in bright
We're going to finish our short service now with a prayer by the great nonconformist John Wesley. It's a rule for life, and if we can make these words our own, we will bring the Easter hope into our world and into our school and into our homes. Do all the good you can, by all the means you can, in all the ways you can, and in all the places you can, at all the times you can, and do good to all the people you can, for as long as ever you can. Amen.